Today I'm going to talk about 1459 by Sugar Ray. The album was released on January 12, 1999. It is celebrating 25 years. This video will answer questions such as, how did the band incorporate various genres such as punk rock, new wave, electronic elements into the album? How successful were these experiments? What are the lyrical themes explored on key singles such as Every Morning, Sunday, and Falls Apart? How do they contribute to the album? And is Mark McGrath a Giga Chad frontman or just an underrated vocalist? Let's talk about the album. It was produced by David Kahne. It has 13 tracks, 40-minute runtime. The album was released on Atlantic Records. This album has a lot of different styles on it. First of all, the opening track and the closing track are instrumentals. They both have the same name, called New Direction. The opening track is extreme death metal with deep guttural vocals. If you read the lyrics, it sounds like things a parent would tell their child. You have to read the lyrics to know what I'm talking about. And the other track is track 13, New Direction. It sounds like a circus music version of the song Every Morning, which I will talk about later on. The remaining 11 songs are mostly alternative rock songs, but they have a few songs that are really different styles, such as the song Aim For Me, which is a punk rock song, and the song Personal Space Invader, which is a new wave electronic type of song. And then they have a couple of other songs trying to emulate the sound of their hit, which was called Fly from that last album. And those are some of the singles, such as Sunday, Ode to the Lonely, Every Morning. I'll talk about those later on. Let's talk about the band. The frontman is Mark McGrath. He's actually became famous in television later on in his career. He did a lot of reality shows. He did American Idol. He was in the Sharknado movies.
You know what you just did, don't you? Jumped the shark.
But in the 90s, he was a Giga Chad singer. He was probably more popular for his looks than his vocal abilities. I'm not saying he's a bad singer. I'm just saying that nobody really mentions Mark McGrath as the greatest vocalist of the 90s. He's kind of like Anthony Kiedis. He's just good enough, but he has the personality to front the band. They have two guitar players. They have Rodney Shepherd and Timothy S. Wright. These songs have lots of acoustic guitars in them, and sometimes they play electric guitars. There are some songs that are kind of heavy, and some you're going to hear like heavy distorted guitar tones, but most of the time they're either playing acoustic or a clean tone. They have a bass player called Murphy Cargis. He's plays a pretty significant role in the album. He has a funky bass style. They have a drummer named Stan Frazier. He's a really good drummer. He can play rock style, and sometimes he plays more of a calypso style. Rounding out the band is Craig DJ Homicide Bullock. He does all the turntable scratches, samples, keyboards, sound bites, and all the hip-hop elements that are present on almost every song on the album. So let's talk about some of the songs. The album is pretty much divided up. You have the typical Sugar Ray sounding songs that are in the style of the hit song Fly. So for example, the first single, Every Morning. They call this acoustic pop. This was one of the short-lived trends of the 90s with bands like Sublime and Everlast. They had turntable scratches and a very poppy sound. I think a lot of these songs that were going for that like Fly Part 2 type of sound. It's a good song, it's just very catchy. The song Every Morning is about infidelity and uncertainty. The song starts with the vocalist finding a condom on his girlfriend's bed, but he doesn't know if it was from him or if she's cheating on him, and the song has a darker tone. Then there's the other single called Sunday. This is another popular song. It's another one where they're trying to go for that sound, similar to Fly. They call it acoustic pop with turntable scratches. It was the third single. There's another single I'll talk about in a minute, but I thought this one was more popular. The lyrics talk about nostalgia, a sense of longing for the past. The singer expresses his desire to go back into a time when things were more simple and carefree, and about longing for the past. There was another single that didn't really recognize that much. I guess it wasn't as popular, but it's called Falls Apart. Pretty catchy song. He sings the chorus. He sings Run Away, Run Away. There are turntable scratches, some pretty cool bass guitar parts, and the song was not too bad. Now let's talk about some of the weird stuff on the album. I want to call these weird songs. So my first weird song is Personal Space Invader. They were going for that early 80s electronic pop post-punk sound. Reminded me a lot of a band like Devo or maybe some early Depeche Mode. Had like an electronic sound in the early 80s, and the song is about needing personal space, but the title also mentions the popular video game Space Invaders that was played a lot in the 80s and had those video game sounds, and it was very just 80s sounding. Another weird song was called Live and Direct. This one features KRS-One. It's like acoustic rap, similar to the song Every Morning, lots of sample scratches and keyboards. Another weird song, or a song that kind of comes from out of nowhere, is Aim For Me. Aim for me. Aim for me. Aim for me. Straightforward punk rock, sounds like Rancid or Bad Religion, the type of punk rock that has the gang vocals and also that weird country rock outro. There's another song, which is track number 12, called Glory. I couldn't really pinpoint what they were going for because they mixed so much different stuff into it. It had elements of post-punk, new wave, 90s grunge. There were some hip-hop elements mixed in. They used heavy and distorted guitars. They were played in a grungy style, maybe reminiscent of Nirvana, and there's lots of bass playing and sound samples. It was a really big mix. Finally, we have the song Abracadabra, which is a cover of the Steve Miller Band. The original was a popular hit, and I like this cover. I think it might even be better than the original. Here's a clip of the original song. Here's a clip of the Sugar Ray version. I thought they did it very well. It's an updated version with a harder rock sound. I think it's very good. It matches the vocals of Mark McGrath. I think he sings it well, and it's actually a highlight on the album. So it's a pretty cool album. For some reason, people don't talk a lot about Sugar Ray. It's one of those bands from the late 90s that were part of the subgenre of alternative rock. They played like California acoustic rock with hip-hop elements. As I mentioned before, the other bands that came to mind were Sublime and Everlast. Just those types of bands that were short-lived. The people didn't really talk about them too much anymore. And let me know your thoughts on Sugar Ray. Do you like this band? Do you not like this band? Leave a comment and tell me what you think. Please like this video. It helps me with the algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews. Please hit the bell for notifications. I will see you in the next one.